Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Tanya Fairley, and it is such an honor to welcome you to day 3 of the Black Beauty Breakdown. As a community board member for Bench to Community and in the Bench Community Initiative and co-creator of our Salon Conversations web series, this work has been deeply personal for me myself. For over 30 years, I've been a hairstylist and trichologist. I've seen firsthand in the salon and with my clients how products we use impact our health. And that's why I'm so passionate about this movement. I have been dedicated to this movement, helping empowering women, especially Black women, with the knowledge they need to take advantage, to take charge and take control of their beauty and their health and their wellness. This is what led me to Dr. Tete Brooks and the Bench to Community Initiative. Through this work, I've been proud to be a large part of the community and this body of work that is bringing crucial, life-changing information to our communities in ways that are accessible and relevant, not to just the community, but even people even stylists, consumers of beauty products, and I have the opportunity to be a part of all of that. This symposium has been an incredible journey so far. On day 1, we dug into the dangers of endocrine disrupting chemicals, learning how these toxins present in so many of the products marketed to us, how they contribute to breast cancer disparities. On day 2, we shifted focus to policy, exploring how legislation like the Crown Act and the Safer Beauty Bill package is changing the landscape to helping protect our health. And I will tell you, this is huge. As the vice president of the Board of Barbering and Cosmetology for the state of California, we continuously talk about the Crown Act and the Safer Beauty Bill package. So don't overlook those things. They definitely are making an impact, not just in the consumer world, but in Congress. Now on day 3, we're shifting to you, the conscious consumer. Today, it's all about us giving you the resources, tools, and practical strategies to help you make informed decisions about the products you use every day. And as a stylist, I know how important that is. We'll be diving into innovative mobile apps like Clearya, which helps you spot toxic ingredients, and home testing kits like Million Markers, designed to measure your exposure to harmful chemicals. Our mission is to arm you with knowledge, empower you with tools, and inspire you to take control of your beauty routine in a way that protects your health and well-being. And also, you are able to help educate your stylist and anyone else that you know. All right. It's been busy over here. So I will say to you, thank you all for joining us. Uh-oh, sorry guys, my screen just froze. Okay, thank you. I'm sorry, my screen froze. Like, what happened? So I will say thank you all for being with us today. You guys are all a part of a growing community of supporters and advocates. It's been an awesome experience for myself to watch the growth and empowerment of this work. In the spirit of that growth, I'm thrilled to welcome a newer member of our community to lead us through today's agenda, Carmen Harris. Carmen is the founder of Imagine Me Free, an organization dedicated to liberating Black women's minds, bodies, and spirits through embodied intimacy practices and relationship coaching. She also comes to us with a background in public health as an epidemiologist with a master's in public health and a strong passion for somatic and relational well-being and holistic health. Carmen's perspective as a Black woman who seeks information to make the best choices for her health and wellness perfectly aligns with why this initiative was created. We're so excited to have her as part of our movement, and I personally can't wait to see her lead today's conversation with our guest innovators. Please join me in welcoming Carmen Harris to guide us through today's sessions.
Thank you, Tanya. I am so excited to be here. Thank you for that gentle welcome. Y'all, we made it to day 3. It has been an incredible symposium. I am thrilled and really, really excited to have this conversation about what the consumer needs and how we can advocate for ourselves. Tanya, what are you most looking forward to today?
Well, considering I'm newly single
Okay.
and and my health and well-being is very, very important,
We can
I
talk.
was really intrigued about, the embodying of intimacy practices and relationship coaching. So to hear how us as Black women, I have this thing where I say how we do money is how we do relationships. So just to kind of get some tips and things that will further educate me in that area.
How we do money is how we do relationships. And what I know is love and money are inextricably related to safety and security.
Yep.
They are the same energy. And so today, this relationship with ourself is so important. The agency that we have and the choices that we are able to make as conscious consumers, how we are able to move through relationship with ourselves and what we put on our body before we're ready to date or be in relationship with anybody else, I think will certainly come up in conversation today. Speaking of dating, I love perfumes. And I love to put on perfume before a date. When I was in college, I had a daytime college perfume and an evening perfume. And most recently, I went to Sephora and I realized since for the last 20 something years, I've been spraying perfume all over my body. And now in this kind of conscious consumer awakening in these conversations that we're having today, I'm really curious what this has been doing to my body, particularly as I'm moving through dating and relationship in a hot girl phase, which is AKA perimenopause phase, like hot girl phase, right? And so I'm really excited. I use the Clearya app. On my the Sephora is in walking distance, which is very dangerous. Walking distance to my house, but in the most recent trips there, I've been able to use Clearya app, and so I'm really looking forward to this conversation with Amit today around how we use Clearya app to make a conscious and well-informed decision. It really helped me before I spray additional perfume or put on makeup or do whatever I am to be out in these hot girl streets. All right, thank you so much. I am so excited, y'all, to welcome our first presenter today. Her name is Jenna, and Jenna is the founder of Million Marker, an innovative company focused on helping individuals reduce their exposure to harmful chemicals through personalized testing and resources. Jenna has a background as a registered dietitian and environmental health scientist, and she's committed to using science and technology to empower us to make better health choices. Jenna's work is groundbreaking. Jenna's story is even more personal than that. As someone who deeply values wellness and holistic health, I'm excited for this presentation because it's all about gaining the and tools we need to protect ourselves and our loved ones from the toxic exposures that could impact our health and especially our breast cancer risk throughout our lifetime. Jenna, please welcome to day 3.
Thank you, Carmen, for this generous introduction. I'm really honored to be here. I think we can show some of my slides and then I can go run through it. Wonderful. So today I'll be sharing with you the effect of the environment on your breast cancer risk and your overall well-being. Next slides. I was prompted to give an introduction more than what was described on my CV and more than what Carmen described. And I wanted to share this photo. It's the first time I'm sharing my new role as a mom. And this is a photo showing my daughter, who's 5 months and a half now, and our surrogate. I started my journey as a foodie, and that's why I studied nutrition and became a dietitian. And it was through that journey I realized, it's not just like what we eat, where we shop. It's also what's in our food. And there's a ton of toxins and then environmental exposures such as pesticides and other things in our food. And these are impacting our health. And this kind of prompted me to study environmental health. And during my study, I realized that we don't actually have enough data to study these exposures and then making meaningful changes, and which led me to become a behavioral interventionist, so that we can put actionable tools and recommendations to allow people to reduce these exposures. And during that time, I was experiencing unexplained fertility issues, and this prompted me to start Million Marker because I studied the environmental exposures. I know these chemicals and these exposures could impact my fertility and could even impact my chronic disease later on, including breast cancer and many other chronic illness. Yet we have no tools to actually allow us to measure. And now, as my daughter is growing up, I want to make sure that she also will eventually have the tools and the knowledge to reduce these exposures and live a healthy life. Next slides. So this is what we do at Million Marker. We offer a direct-to-consumer testing kit. It's a mammalian urine test that allow you to measure what's inside of you, so you can learn what's inside of you. We test for a class of chemicals called endocrine disrupting chemicals, which could be mimicking or blocks your hormones, which then can cause downstream impact. Next slide. Our process is simple. You simply pee in a cup, you ship it to us, we get it tested, and then we'll give you a report back. If you want to be more personalized about your report and then getting recommendations, we also ask you to complete an exposure journal, which will allow us to pinpoint where your exposures are coming from. And our mission is to empower everyone to make a positive change for their health and the environment. Next slide. This is a snapshot of the report you would be getting. We're first letting you know your results, a summary page. There are our top recommendations, and then you go into your results details. We let you know your levels, how you compare with the national average, and what you can do about it. Next slide. So in personalized recommendations, we're letting you know, out of all the products you're using, which one is good, which one is bad, what are the things that you need to change. This could range from personal care products, household products, to your diet, and to your daily activities. Next slide. You might wonder, why should I even care about my environmental exposures? In fact, your health is attributed by only 30% by genes, and the rest of them is your environment. So your environment or your environmental exposures could actually account for 70% of your chronic disease risk. And this quote clearly describes, the importance of your environment is that genetic loads the gun, but environment pulls the trigger. Next slide. So your environment actually comes from many aspects. So it could be the products you're using, it could be the air, it could be the air you're breathing, the water you're drinking, the food you're eating, and also your lifestyle. How much physical activity you're getting, how much sleep you're getting, how much stress level you're having. And then all these factors actually interact with your genes. And then together, they could be causing you're having health issues, and it could be changing your breast cancer risk or changing your other disease risks. Next slide. The reason we care about a lot of chemicals in the environment and in your product is that there are over 80,000 man-made chemicals in use today, and we actually only have about 1% of them sufficiently tested for safety. For a lot of the chemicals, we actually have no idea what they're doing to our bodies. And this makes it really important for us to care and then reduce exposures, because who wants a bad chemical in you that could potentially causing issues? Next slide. The reason we care about these chemicals, as I mentioned before, is many of them are hormone disrupting chemicals. Now let's drill down to a little bit on hormones. You might have heard in the last 2 days conversations that what are the hormone functions? Why is it important? What's their association with disease risk? And then why is it related to these products? The reason is that hormones are these signaling molecules in our body. It literally controls every bodily function we have, from reproduction to brain function, to fertility, to immune function, cardiovascular development. Everything is controlled by hormones. And then they work kind of like an orchestra. Thinking about, you're going to a symphony, you're hearing like beautiful music, but if one key is out of sync, and it could have downstream impact, then your whole song, your whole symphony is no longer good. It's the same thing as, you don't want to mess with your hormones. If you have these hormone disruptors come in, messing with your hormones, then you could have downstream impact. You might not feel it tomorrow, but you just don't know one day, 10 years or 20 years down the road, it is causing an impact. It's kind of like you're putting a little bit in your cup. You just don't know when your cup's going to get full. Next slide. And these hormone disrupting chemicals are everywhere. But the good news is there are many we can take control of. The poster child of hormone disrupting chemical is bisphenol. People might have seen BPA-free water bottle, BPA-free cans. And BPA is a chemical that mimics estrogen. It's used in can lining. It's used in thermal receipts. In 2012, the FDA actually banned BPA in baby products. But unfortunately, the industry have quickly switched to alternatives. What they're doing is that they're switching BPA, the last letter, changing the molecule a little bit, switching the letter from BPA. They could switch from BPA all the way to BPZ or any combination of the alphabet. If you think about it, this is really scary because you don't actually know what's put it in your products. And science have shown that these BPA alternatives are actually have the same impact, if not worse, than BPA. So we really need to care about this. So stop eating so much canned food, and don't touch that don't touch that receipt. Have your receipt email it to you. Phthalates is another class of chemical, endocrine disrupting chemical that actually blocks testosterone. It's used to be in the rubber duckies. It's put it in personal care product like perfume. Same as Carmen, when I was a lot younger, when I was dating, and when I was in high school, I used a lot of them, because we were told or either through social media or other means, and this is the thing to do. But later on, as we learned that phthalates is actually one of the major ingredients in fragrance, in perfumes, in personal care products, and it's causing changes in our hormones. And in fact, phthalates has been the one to blame that causing sperm quality decrease in the last 50 years. So this is something that we really need to care about. So choose that fragrance-free product. That's really, really important. Another class of hormone disrupting chemicals are parabens and oxybenzones, and they're also used in personal care products as preservatives, as UV blockers. They are also hormone disrupting chemicals. But the good news is that your body actually have natural detox system to get rid of these chemicals. And the key is to avoid them from the first place. Next slide. So challenge time, you might be, I talked about these chemicals are everywhere, it's in your products, it's everywhere, but like, how do you even avoid these exposures, right? So I encourage everyone to think about the last 24 hours, because if you actually avoid your exposure from these chemicals, avoiding products, your body can actually get rid of them within 24 to 48 hours. So think about your exposure in the last 24 hours. So think about where were you? What did you do? What did you eat? Did you eat any packaged food? Did you eat any takeout? Because that packaging and then that takeout container could actually give you the exposure. Because BPA and phthalates, the one we just talked about, they can actually made up to 80% of plastic. So they're major plasticizers that actually used in plastic. So something to pay attention. Reduce that eating out, reduce that takeout food, and reduce packaged food, and trying to eat in more and cook more. And what did you drink? Did you drink from a plastic water bottle? Or did you drink from a canned drink? Even carbonated water that's canned could contain BPA or other bisphenol alternatives. What supplement did you take? Supplement coating could contain phthalates. Choose a vegetarian-based capsules. What personal care products did you use? Did you use anything with fragrance? Did you use anything with the preservative we just talked about, paraben? Or did you use any sunblock that could have oxybenzone as a UV blocker in it? How about your cleaning products? Did your cleaning product also contain fragrance in it? Next slide. This is 5 tips for starting your detox journey. Every time I give a presentation, like the information at first is always a little bit doom and gloom. Yes, these chemicals are everywhere, but yes, there are things you can do about it. Here's how you start. Try to avoid plastic food and drink containers as much as possible. We have a complicated relationship with plastic. They're everywhere and they're useful, especially during emergency and during medical use. But because you cannot avoid those special situations, these exposures, so in your daily life, please try to avoid plastic as much as possible. Use glass, stainless steel, use a beeswax wrap instead of that saran wrap, and never ever microwave plastic, because the heat will actually increase the release of these chemicals into your food or anything that plastic comes in contact with. Avoid fragrance, perfume, aroma. Like products with scent actually often contain phthalates. And then be careful of unscented product, because the unscented product is actually a scent, believe it or not. Please opt in for fragrance-free. As I mentioned before, food packaging, takeout containers could contain a lot of these chemicals. So please eat in and make home-cooked meals. When you make home-cooked meals, not only you increase that bonding with your family members, you also save a lot of money and then reduce a ton of your exposure. Oftentimes people also forget, okay, besides the takeout containers, the gloves that often used in restaurant to prepare your food, the food prep workers using that glove to prepare your food, the gloves is not regulated at all. Many of the gloves actually contains phthalates, and when they prepare that food, that phthalate just seeps into your food and then you just eat it. Everything just goes into your food. And lastly, be a mindful shopper. Don't touch thermal receipt, bring your own shopping bags and read labels. As Carmen mentioned, download that Clearya app and then use that app when you're shopping to choose the better products. And if you're interested in learning more about these product ingredients, check out our chemical glossary. This is where you can learn more. Next slide. Here, I also want to drop in that we're actually running a research study now to help people reduce exposure to these hormone disrupting chemicals, where you could get testing and then help us learn more. And we're particularly interested in recruiting male volunteers aged between 18 to 44. So if you're interested in, please scan that QR code and then join our study. Next slide. And if you have more questions, please message us. You can check us out on social media. We're really active on Instagram, Facebook, as well as Twitter. Our goal is to equip everyone with the knowledge. We have we have like written over 80 like easily digestible articles in one of our hubs. And we have many other ones. We have approved product. We also have a chemical glossary. So please come and visit us. And I'll be answer any questions.
Thank you so much, Jenna. That was wonderful. I'm going to get us started with a question while questions from the chat come in. And it goes back to the beginning of your journey. I also know that Black women are twice as likely to face of childbearing age, are twice as likely to face fertility issues than non-Hispanic white women. And those who do face fertility issues, 40% of them is related to failure to ovulate. Can you share a little bit more about your personal journey with fertility and infertility and how that inspired you to found the company and to be more conscious around your consumption of beauty brand products?
My story is slightly different. I didn't have a problem with ovulation, but I could not carry through the pregnancy. That's the reason that we have to use a surrogate, because me carrying the baby could actually be very dangerous to myself and the baby. And this is obviously have to do with hormone. And unfortunately, in my case, the doctors could not find out why. So when I was pregnant, after my pregnancy loss, I went to the doctor and I was wondering, because I've done any test that's available, any test that's possible to do, and saw many specialists. The answer they could give me is good luck next time. And I was very frustrated looking for answers because I had no family history and nothing is going wrong. Yes, yet I'm continuing to have late stage miscarriages, and I would have other anything could go wrong in pregnancy that went wrong with me, from preeclampsia to gestational diabetes, you name it, everything. So I was really frustrated, but when because I studied environmental exposures, I know these chemicals could impact my fertility, could impact pregnancy, could later on impact, my risk for breast cancer, diabetes, and many other chronic conditions. But when I went to the doctor, they said the only test that's available is heavy metal. There's no other test. And it was very mind-boggling to me, because I know we have literally been studying these chemicals for decades. And I know the CDC is doing biomonitoring. We have people like a national cohort being tested. Yet this information, first of all, the public don't even know. If I didn't study this, I had no idea that this is something that I could even look for, right? And let alone there's like any tests available. So I was very frustrated. And I think it's really important for anyone in reproductive age, particularly vulnerable population like the Black community, especially when your risk is already high, and epidemiology have shown you have a higher rate of miscarriages and infertility. We should really be educating the community to start caring about these topics, and actually start from even when we are teenagers, even earlier, right? So then they can avoid this exposure. Because for me, I felt even just get a sense of assurance that I've done everything I could. I've avoided these exposure. This is not something I need to worry about at that stage. I think it's a relief. So you don't have to worry about it. You can just move on.
Wow. Thank you for sharing that, and congratulations to you and your new role of a mother of a 5.5-month-old.
I can't wait until just 5.
5.5-month-old baby girl. Congratulations to you. I have a question from you from the chat, and this kind of goes back to the perfumes and the use. Shay asks, what about use of essential oils, or essential oils?
That's a really good question. Essential oil has a long time history of being using health and wellness. That's not to be denied. The issue with the current essential oil use is that we don't know the source of the essential oil. you actually don't know how that essential oil is being distilled and it's being processed. You think about it, that process, if that essential oil is being collected, in plastic containers, distilled in that plastic tubing and equipment, basically that plasticizer, everything just leach into that essential oil, and then you're using that. The other issue is essential oils are very, very concentrated. When it's really concentrated, it's also concentrated with toxins if it's not being processed right. And then lastly is that about 50% of the essential oil in use today, even though it's labeled as essential oil, they're synthetic essential oil, not natural, actually derived essential oil. So this makes the source of essential oil really questionable. The safest option is choosing no fragrance, not even essential oil. But if you're liking that smell, you really wanted that essential oil, I would encourage everyone to check with the manufacturer. Do they have a certificate of analysis? Have they checked the source of their essential oil? Is it adulterated? Have they done the analysis? Don't let it just go by that they say, oh, we checked everything. Have them show you that certificate of analysis. That does it have a heavy metal? Have they checked for phthalates? Have they checked for these things? And making sure, and also check that date. They could have a product that's checked 10 years ago when they first developing the product. But with the global supply chain it changes so fast. You just have no idea. They could have like batch to batch effects. So I would say the safest way is to avoid it all. But if you really want it, make sure you check with that manufacturer and to see the sources.
Thank you so much. I have another question for you where you ended with like, there's a detox. Our body naturally starts to detox these chemicals from our body. Thank God, amen, for what is happening in our body that knows, hey, you've been exposed to something that is harmful. Let us start the detox. You also put a couple of steps in there where we can start. I am curious, Jenna, is there a place where you might get the most, let's say, bang for your buck? If I'm a newbie, where is my first step? Is it the plastic bottles? Is it no perfumes? Where's the most bang for my buck?
This is a really, really good question. I think this question really depending on your lifestyle and how far you're willing to go. Based on our experience at Million Marker, based on our customers, a study participant, I believe the easiest way to start is starting from your personal care products. Your personal care product sometimes is not your highest exposure. A lot of time, your highest exposure is actually from food. But your personal care product is the easiest. Remember, you don't have to throw away everything today. But next time when you go shop, make sure you read that ingredient label, use that Clearya app to choose a better product. I think that's easier. Once you find the right product for you, you can just keep using it and making sure that, you're not buying the horrible products anymore. So I think that's the easiest to start. But if you're willing to start from the highest exposure, I would start from your kitchen for your food. First of all, when you go shop, avoid that thermal receipt and avoid takeout container. Avoid just going out to eat so much. And in your kitchen, make sure you have, you ditch all your plastic Tupperware. Use glass. Don't use that saran wrap. Use beeswax wrap. And these are sort of a one-time investment, right? Once you invest in that glass container, it lasts for a long time, lasts even longer than plastic Tupperware. And also, in pots and pans, use stainless steel, use ceramic, and use cast iron, and ditch that non-stick pan. Because one thing we didn't touch upon is that your body has a natural detox system to get rid of these transient chemicals, which leaves your body in 24 to 48 hours. We also have persistent chemicals like the PFAS, like the non-stick pans, like the Teflons. So those, it will take longer, which makes them even more important to avoid. So if you can make this one-time investment in your kitchen, in your food, and do this, and then slowly with your personal care product, and next time you go shop with your house cleaning product, and start there too.
Thank you. That's a really helpful for an emerging person like me in this consumer choice. I have a choice to what I do. I'm going to ask you one last question from the chat. Jenna, thank you so much. We could keep going in this conversation. From B, Are there alternatives of which you are aware of the plastic bottles used to fill medical prescriptions? / can we advocate to our pharmacists for other ways to give us our medications?
Oh, that's a really good one. The medical field is very, very hard to change. I mentioned that the bottle is actually not the biggest issue. The bottle, if you don't put that bottle under the sun, avoid sunlight, put it in the shade, the migration of plastic chemicals into your medication is not going to be that much. The more bigger issue is the pill itself, the coating of the pill, the capsule itself. That's a much bigger problem. So anytime you see slow release, timed release, if it's not made of vegetarian capsule, many times it could be made of phthalates in that medication. But it's very hard for us to change as a consumer because you can't, if this is a life-saving drug, if you need to use this drug to control your medical condition, you have to take it. So unfortunately, we haven't seen systematic change in the pharma industry of using alternatives. So if you're taking supplement, I would make sure that you choose that vegetarian capsule and don't choose capsule without proper label. And this also because you cannot change your medical supply and then your life-saving pills and the medications that you're taking. This makes avoiding other daily exposures even more important because they add up. So you don't want it to add up. If there's exposure that you cannot avoid, make sure you avoid other exposures so you don't have everything. You just don't keep putting in your body.
That is the perfect ending, to be aware. I love the practice that you offered us. Over the next 24 hours, you asked us to go back, Jenna. I also imagine that we can also do this forward of a mindfulness practice. Definitely be mindful of where we're going, what we're eating. This is a process that you're inviting us to really slow down.
Absolutely.
To slow down and be mindful. Thank you so much, Jenna, for your product, Vermilion Marker. Thank you for sharing it with us. It's been a pleasure to be in conversation with you today.
Thank you so much for having me.